part of being, doing the right thing, the responsible thing, but being, really building fellowship, but also being good Christians to one another. And how can we do that during this pandemic? I mean, think about it. We're separated by the masks. We're separate social distancing. Jerry mentioned that certain states have restrictions. Some states it's wide open. You can do what you want for Thanksgiving and beyond. But in some states, it's really troubling for people because they're like, what do I do? How do I pick certain family members I'm going to hang out with? And others I have to say, no, not you. You're on the naughty list. I don't want to hang out with you for Thanksgiving. Jerry, it really does take on an interesting twist. But we want to hear from you. So share with us, has COVID forced you to adjust your holiday plans? So think Thanksgiving, Advent, Christmas, New Year's, think everything all the way till the end of the year. 833-288-3986. How about you, Jerry? Has it forced you to adjust your holiday plans?
Well, mine actually have been adjusted over the past several years by losses in my family. I used to go typically to my sister's house in the Seattle, Washington area, and she has passed away. My brother-in-law is still there, my two nephews. Our mother was alive, and we all used to gather, usually at my sister's place. But that's been a little bit different, with my sister gone. She used to be the hostess with the mostest, as they say. And so now, and so I pretty much just kind of stick around home and, try to make it a quiet day, a reflective day, a joyful day, of course. But what I would love to hear from some people today, call if you don't have any restrictions, if you're just going all out for Christmas and Thanksgiving this year, as you have always, you would really boost my spirit because in the state of California, we do have very restrictive guidelines for Thanksgiving. I went over what those were a couple weeks ago on the show. But I would love to hear how you are just really looking forward, especially in this time when we have had so much uncertainty and as Debbie said, social distancing and masks and shutdowns and all of this stuff. Maybe you're just really rejoicing that things have opened up a little bit, and a little bit of normalcy perhaps is going to be a part of your holidays. 833-288-3986.
So please join in on this conversation. We need you. You've never let us down. So if you are listening right now and you think I have something I can contribute to this conversation, please do so. This is how it works. You dial the number 833-288-3986. And this wonderful, wonderful gentleman by the name of Ryan Penny, young man, amazingly talented, he'll answer the phone and say probably something like, hello, welcome to EWTN, take two, something like that. And you say, hi, Ryan, I want to get on the show. Ryan chats with you for a few minutes. He puts you on hold. You get to listen live. Okay. I've always wanted to tell people that because I was always nervous about calling into a talk show because I thought, what if somebody else says something that I'm about to say and then I say the same thing and they go, well, that was stupid. That was just said. We get to, right? You get to listen live and then we just seamlessly, add you into the discussion. I hope that is true. Confirm that, Ryan. They do get to listen live, correct? I don't want to say something. I thought it was. That's what I was told for 5 years, unless I hope that hasn't changed.
I think they do. Yeah, I think
they do? Okay, yeah. Good. I just want to make sure. But have you ever thought that calling into a talk show? Like you're thinking, I'm going to just be waiting on hold and I can't hear anything. And
Yeah, I have called several talk shows. It's been many, many years since I have, but they always have the audio on when you're on hold, and I think that's only natural and right because you want to be able to hear, like you said, what's being said before you and what the host is saying and how the topic conversation is evolving. So yeah, it makes a ton of sense that he would have that. So you're going to get on right away. We have some open phone lines here at 833-288-3986. Our topic today, with the COVID pandemic still in place, and it looks like it's going to be for a while, are you a little hesitant to make any concrete plans for traveling, for example, or getting together with family or having family and friends over? What are your holidays starting to look like right now? 833-288-3986.
Okay, so I got a couple text messages that are saying, we were hoping you'd comment on what's going on in the country. So here's my comment. Arizona is still counting all the votes. Okay, I live in Arizona. We were told by our governor and everybody who's involved in Arizona government that we're going to count every last vote. So it's still counting. Okay, so I know Arizona's taken the spotlight on a lot of the news channels, but it's a wonderful state to live in. We have a great leadership in Arizona, and we do believe in counting every single vote. So that's great, right?
That is great. Yeah, actually. Funny how that is, huh?
That's how it's supposed to work.
Right, you're right. Okay, phone lines are open right now, talking about holiday plans, Thanksgiving, Christmas, any other holidays that you might usually celebrate. Are they altered a little bit? Do you have to adjust your plans because of the coronavirus? 833-288-3986 will get you right on the program. As Debbie said, Ryan will get your phone call here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hello, Journey Home family. Next time, we'll welcome back Deacon Scott Carson to the program. Deacon Carson is a former Episcopalian and will share what led him to the Catholic faith. Share the journey next time on EWTN's The Journey Home.
The Journey Home with Marcus Grodi is seen and heard around the world on EWTN. Join us Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern on EWTN radio and television.
60 Seconds with Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen.
It must be understood at the beginning that the Eucharist may be considered either from the point of view of a sacrament or from the point of view of a sacrifice. In order to understand this distinction, because it is rather a technical one, we go back to the analogy of nature. Every day of your life, you partake of certain food, the products of wheat, vegetables, fish, meat. They all enter into the sustenance of your life. They nourish you, they feed you. But have you ever thought of this other side? Before they can ever nourish you, they must be submitted to some kind of sacrifice. Before they can be the sacrament of your physical life, they must die or be sacrificed.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Michael, Jeff, and Ryan, our show team affiliates, for carrying the program. And we were talking today about COVID and how it may have changed your holiday plans a little bit. And we've got some other themes on this that we're going to introduce here for you in just a moment. I want to remind you, though, EWTN has what they call Radio Essentials. You can listen for the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass celebrated every 2 hours, along with rosaries, chaplets of Divine Mercy, Stations of the Cross, and other devotionals each and every hour. You can hear EWTN Radio Essentials on smart speakers, the EWTN app, and at EWTN.com.
Mm-hmm. So we were talking about Stand Tall on the break.
Right,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, we have a growing list of very experienced, wonderful life coaches. You can get a free consultation. Go to standtalltoday.com, standtalltoday.com, and you can pick what coaches. You can do free consultations with every coach if you wanted to. It's kind of fun. I actually did with a couple coaches. It's great. But I just wanted to offer something in addition to what we're talking about holiday plans. You know, this year gave us a great opportunity to kind of do a little bit of a life review. And this idea of looking back and saying, you know, what's really important in life, you know, let's all agree, everybody agrees that we all want toilet paper and paper towels, correct? Because I just went to the grocery store recently and all of the shelves of paper products are wiped out again.
Still, wow.
Yes. So, so we all agree that that's essential, right? Okay. But let's also talk about other things. What are we grateful for? You know, being alive in our faith and our family and our living conditions and our opportunities and, you know, the ability to do something really wonderful for God. And are we grateful? And maybe could we weave that into the conversation? Are you planning on it, even if you have a virtual celebration, or if you know, decided to take all holidays off the table until after this year is over with? Are you doing something to reinforce this idea of a newfound gratitude for your existence? I want to share something real quickly, Jerry, if I may. I understand Colorado did pass that horrific late-term abortion bill. Horrific. I have relatives who live in Colorado. I can't even describe it. I was sick to my stomach And to think that they would have allowed that to pass. I mean, everybody knows what that is. Everybody knows. I mean, you have to know at some level how evil and horrible that is to humanity. And yet it passed. This is tragic. To me, maybe we haven't really, I don't know. How do you think we've learned how to really be grateful for life? I don't know. With the passing of that horrific bill, I would say no.
It would seem that way. Yeah. It's interesting as you were talking about that, Debbie. In my perception, God is really on the move in this country, and really raising up leaders and saints and holy people, especially among young people. And at the same time, the forces of evil have really picked up as well. It's almost like, this great clash is imminent at some point. So we need to be certainly in prayer for that, especially with bills like that. And it seems like every time a bill is passed or something that restricts abortion or tries to reduce it in some way, a judge comes along and with the stroke of a pen just kind of overturns that. So we have a lot of praying to do, but. Also, as Debbie was talking about, let's talk about our gratitude. Are you grateful have you had blessings during this pandemic, this coronavirus? Maybe you have had celebrations with your family and with your friends, birthdays, and we've had All Saints Day, and we've had great holidays. And now as we look forward to the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays, what are you grateful for? And are they going to be? Are your your get-together is going to be a little bit different this year because of the pandemic? 833-288-3986 will get you on the program.
And I might have used the wrong terminology on that. It's Colorado Proposition 115. That's the proposition. I just want to make sure I got it right, because I guess technically it's not a bill, it's a proposition, right? Because I may have used the wrong terminology.
Yeah, different states call them bills, propositions,
right?
Things like that.
I just want to make sure I got it. I'm just. Wasn't it shocking when I called you yesterday and told you that it passed?
What was that I was reading?
I said, weren't you shocked when I called you yesterday and told you that it passed in Colorado?
Yeah, well, I was and I wasn't. Actually, the reason I was is because I'm thinking Colorado. You and I both know, how many people do we know that have moved their entire families and their ministries to Colorado and the Denver area because of so many great things going on there. And so it was a little bit of a shock because of where it was. I mean, there are many states around the country where it wouldn't surprise me at all. But Colorado was definitely, it did catch me by surprise when you told me that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got Archbishop Aquila there, very pro-life Archbishop. You got very strong Catholic radio throughout Colorado. I mean, this is really troubling, folks. I did hear something on the flip side. I don't know if somebody could give us confirmation that a lot of House representatives were voted in who are very pro-life women. So that was very encouraging to hear.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we're all still filling in our scorecards. If you're keeping score at home with all the election coverage and all of the different races and so forth, we continue to pray, obviously, certainly for a godly outcome, whatever God's will is for the election. We pray for peace. We pray for for our country to remain, hopefully, in some way rooted in God, and so we keep all those prayers going for the as the political stuff keeps unwinding here. Yeah,
there's some interesting things. So, I do love that the pro-life message was really getting out there very strong on social media, Jerry. So that's another thing that we should be grateful for. So you're talking about gratitude. I mean, there was a lot of talk of the pro-life. Message. So that's important. Jerry, we have social media coming in. Did you see that?
I did, yeah. If you're watching the video stream on YouTube or Facebook, hello to you. Thanks for tuning in and being a part of the Take Two family. And talking today about adjustments to your holiday plans, if you're even putting them in place at all right now. 833-288-3986. Anna Marie, who is a regular viewer and commenter, if I can put it that way, says, I'm going to try not to make my husband sick and bake a turkey, smiley face. With COVID, we are not traveling, and I don't know anyone who is having company this holiday or Christmas. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say where Anna Marie is writing from, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Yeah.
Speaking about where you're writing from, could you do us a favor when you email us thank you so much for reminding me of this. When you email us at take2@ewtn.com, put at the bottom what radio station you're listening on and what town. We just want to just be aware of where the emails and calls are coming in from. So let us know that and brag a little bit about your radio station. I think it's important that we really promote local Catholic radio stations, Jerry.
Yeah. Well, people should know by now that we're very big on that, and we hope and pray, especially as we move forward toward the end of the year, if you have a couple of coins left over, maybe you can give a year-end gift to EWTN or to your local Catholic affiliate who really rely on you. All of this, folks, all of it is listener-supported entirely. You don't hear commercials on EWTN programs. So please do your part, okay? Do your 100%, and we will trust God that He is going to do His 100% as well.
Right.
Go ahead.
Can I say something real quick about COVID? We're talking about gratitude, and a lot of the folks that I work with in life coaching, we do a lot of work in gratitude and gratitude journals and stuff like that. Very, very helpful. You know, you didn't ask me, Jerry, but I just want to share this real quickly before we get to our first caller. I'm very grateful this year. It was a hard year, a really hard year. It's been hard on my health. It's been hard on a lot of things. But I said something the other day to Marty, my husband. Marty and I have always been like two peas in a pod. We're very, very, we like each other. We love each other. We're like best friends. And it's amazing. But because of COVID-19, we have become even tighter as a couple. It's really amazing. He can't wait to rush home after work. You know, it's hilarious. And I'm like, we've spent every single day with each other for the past year, and yet it's really kind of sweet. And I wonder if anybody else has experienced that. I know there's been a real huge uptick in domestic violence and abuse and stuff, and that is tragic, and we're sorry for that. Absolutely sorry that you have to be part of that. But then there's also the flip side of, has it brought you closer to your spouse, to your family? It did for me, which I never thought it could, but it has.
Well, yeah, I'm blessed to hear that, and knowing Marty and you both, I'm not surprised by that. But yeah, that's something else. If you've got some comments on that, dear Take Two family, how maybe this whole pandemic year has brought all of you closer together. Maybe you haven't been able to celebrate holidays, birthdays, things like that. Maybe you had to not even be in each other's presence, but we can grow closer to one another, even if we're not physically in the same areas. So love to hear from anyone who has had that experience where maybe a relationship has been strengthened, restored, maybe a restored relationship, anything like that. 833-288-3986. And are we ready to go to the phone?
Marianne, I love your name, Marianne. You're so blessed. In West Virginia, Light of Life Radio is the way you're listening. Hi, Marianne. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me well?
Perfectly.
Very well.
Oh, great. Well, I called, number one, yes, my children and I have gotten closer. I'll answer that right away. And I'm grateful for COVID for slowing everything down and shutting stores. We stopped shopping at midnight and staying up all night in ridiculous amount, like hours, because you find yourself more busy when the stores were open all night long. We knew we could catch up and go to the store at 11 and not go to bed till 1. And then suddenly we all started going to bed earlier. But I want to refer back to the family, reunions during the holidays. During the entire time of COVID, I had 2 teenage children at home. And my children drug all their friends to my house, and they were in and out. I was a revolving door. What we knew was that well-being abounds. We kept a positive affirmation. We washed our hands, of course. We didn't cough on each other. And we all took extra time to, maybe spray something down or clean something more than we did before, perhaps. But we had faith in God and in well-being and in the fact that we know that as long as, we follow protocol to a point, that we're going to be fine. And we are all fine. And, we've all been blessed through this. We got strep throat once. We used herbal remedies from the health food store. We got rid of the strep throat in 2 days, and no one else got it. I just want to know if our faith is strong and we know that well-being abounds and we take the precautions of washing our hands and being cleanly, shouldn't we just go ahead forward and live our lives normally?
Well, Marianne, you're talking to somebody, me. I won't speak for Debbie, but I think, and again, I live in a state, the state of California, where things have been really, I think, over the top in terms of the shutdowns and the rules and restrictions and regulations. For example, churches are still only allowed to have up to 100 people outdoors for Mass. Well, you're coming into a season of the year, even in a sunny state like California. I don't know how that's gonna work itself out, but. Yeah, I personally would like to see things lifted and a lot more open, and I know they are in some states. But as you were talking, I just am picturing your home there during this time of COVID. You were saying your teenagers and well-being abounds, and they have their friends over, and to me that sounds like your home almost became like a refuge or a sanctuary, maybe kind of a safe place. Were you getting that sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it was like that. And the kids, when they didn't feel well, they would always run to my house and say, Marianne, I have a headache, or I felt this cough, or it was really weird at work today because they work at like McDonald's. They were essential workers, these teenagers as well, because they went to McDonald's, they went to their fast food jobs, they were interacting with others all day. But we would come back to the house and we would sing affirmations about being healthy. We would make sure that we drank a lot of water. We did wellness checks on each other. Are you washing your hands? Are you keeping your hand sanitizer in your pocket? Do you remember, to put your mask on? We do wear our masks, and we do that out of respect for others because of the fact that not because we're afraid you're going to give us something, but we want to make sure that if we're coughing and spewing, we don't spew on you. And that was for respect purposes. But in the end, in my core and in my soul, I know that I'm healthy and the rest of us are going to be healthy and the people I interact with are going to be healthy because I trust every day in God and in what I'm set forth to do, in my purpose in life. And I feel that if I did pass on and caught this, disease, or it was because it was my time to do so, and these things were naturally caused, not because, I interacted with my grandma and she was over at the old folks home and now, I'm going to be sick. And my best friend is a nurse and she interacts all day with patients. And also she has not gotten sick and they are at the highest risk. But I also see her in well-being. So when I look at her, I see her healthy and strong, and I know that God has a purpose for her. So I'm saying if our faith is good, then why can we not rely on our faith and continue forward and have family gatherings for the home?
Yeah. Hold that thought, Marianne. I want to talk to you some more. Debbie will have some thoughts to share as well. I think you're kind of laying out a common sense approach here. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. Please join us in our conversation today.
Al Cresta.
The secular press just doesn't get our story. They don't even understand it. And so it's incumbent upon us to get the story straight and get the story out.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Hi, this is Debbie Georgiani.
And I'm Jerry Usher.
Have you joined our Inspired by Faith book club yet? Log on to standtalltoday.com and click on the book club tab.
Our facilitator, Gigi, picks a great book each month for us to read together.
Then we have a virtual conversation about it at the end of the month.
It's a great way to make sure spiritual reading is part of your daily life.
Again, go to standtalltoday.com and follow the link to register for the Inspired by Faith book club.
You guys, this is a hard time because in the midst of the fears There's new priorities heaped upon us. So talk about a recipe for stress. I mean, congrats, you're suddenly a homeschooling family and you have 7 different teachers sending you different topics that you have to get done every day, and your work is saying you can work from home, but you also have to get all these other things done. And listen, here's what I want to tell you right now. Do your best. Forget the rest, okay? I mean, we have a schedule we're keeping. Our kids are done homeschooling at X hour. Even if we kind of failed or they kind of failed at it, and we're moving on to the next thing in the day. And at the end of the day, as you unwind a little bit or try to unwind, take it easy on yourself. You'll get back to the grind of life. Trust me. You'll get back to the phase where it's easier to accomplish every to-do on your list. But right now, the top priority, and you can't forget this, in the midst of all those to-dos, is keeping yourself where you need to be in relation to God and loving and joyful as possible for the people around you. God bless you.
For more, text Chris at 44144. This is Chris Stefanik on EWTN Radio.
Hi, this is Janet Williams. We embrace the essence of feminine spirituality on Women of Grace tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern here on EWTN Radio. Now, back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
We are so glad you're with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie as this week kind of flies by. At least it feels that way for me. We're talking with Marianne in Beckley, West Virginia. Marianne, hold on just one more second. We'll get to you. But Debbie, you have been getting some text messages about the Colorado bill, and you just wanted to kind of make a clarification on that.
Right. I just want to quickly clarify. It's just because I'm very emotional about this, and I'm reading the reports on it. It's just so sad to think that these babies, right to the day that they could be born, could be killed in the womb. They wanted me to clarify. There was a Colorado Proposition 115 to ban late-term abortions. That was defeated. Okay, so it was not upheld. It wasn't passed. It wasn't upheld. It was defeated. So now you can go there to Colorado or in Colorado and have these late-term abortions, easy access to terminate your pregnancy that way. I can't wrap my head around it as a mother and as a person who's had 2 children. I don't know what's going on there in Colorado, but it was defeated, Prop 115. So just to clarify, please forgive me. I get emotional on these things, as you know, when you hear these reports come in. So I'm sorry if I didn't quite express it the right way. Okay.
Well, I would say if it doesn't cause an emotional response in somebody, I would be concerned about that person, where they stand on the issue of life and so forth. But we're going to go back to Marianne in West Virginia, and we're talking today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie about if the coronavirus has maybe caused you to alter your holiday travel plans or get-together plans. Maybe you don't have any plans yet at this point. And we're also talking about gratitude, and Marianne is actually, Debbie, talking about many things that she and her family are grateful for. I wouldn't say because of the COVID pandemic, but as a consequence of that. And one of those is her home became kind of this beautiful, safe refuge or sanctuary for her kids' friends to come over, and they saw the well-being and really just the family being so close together. That had to be a great witness for those who took part in that.
I remember Marianne talking to our dear friend Adam Bly. He's a religious demonologist out of the Diocese of Pittsburgh. And, he was talking about how we in the West, we just have this really, fear-based, odd sense of how we look at death, and how we also approach life. And it's always struck me as being very odd and that's one of the reasons why I did a death and dying project many years ago in the late 1990s, is I wanted to not have this incredible fear of dying, because we lose out on really living. And so I think when I hear you speak, you have this balanced, beautiful sense of self. And you're communicating that to friends and family members, and that brings peace, that brings a real understanding, and it takes away all this incredible fear around death. And so I just thank you for that, for having that well-balanced sense of what it means to live.
I'm grateful for you guys. I have to say, I became a dormant Catholic for quite some time. After divorcing with my husband, who was a staunch Catholic, and he is now passed. but I still feel his spirit in me. He loves EWTN. We studied a lot of the catechism. And so I find myself enveloped in the radio and in listening, and I still love, all of my bishops and Mother Angelica, and I've read so much stuff with my ex-husband, who is now gone, might pass on, that I always find myself back home again. I will always consider the Catholic Church a home. And yesterday you made a very excellent point about how people who come into our church and are not cradle Catholics have much more fire than those of us who were born in it. Of course, I'm Italian. I was born in it. Mary Ann, come on. I mean, so the thing to me is that I love the truth that comes from this radio station and from you guys especially. And I love the sincerity and honesty. And this is why I am still attached to my faith. And I really feel that this Christmas, my gift to myself is coming home and reuniting with going to adoration and prayer and knowing that it all is one thing. It's like we try to divide our church up as we do our families up, and we have all these different, denominations. But in the end, Christ is the Savior brought from God the Father, and that is never going to change. And Catholicism offers, even though we've had atrocities in our church, we cannot blame our Father in heaven, and Jesus Christ for those atrocities. And I will never hold my church accountable for the human beings that fall to the flesh. So, again, I am grateful, and I just wanted to bring out that whole, being without worry and knowing that your family and you are taking the best precautions. So go forward and live the life and know that God is within us and well-being does abound, if you believe that way. Yeah,
I love that
I'm
phrase,
grateful. Thank you,
well-being
you
abounds. Well-being abounds.
Well, she's named Mary Ann. What do you expect? Two greatest names there.
Well, we're grateful for
Yes,
you too, Mary.
amazing. Thank you.
Go-
Thank
All
you
right.
so much. And I can't wait to hear more programming.
Oh, God bless you. Thank you very much, Marianne in Beckley, West Virginia, listening on Light of Life Radio. And Debbie, I want to send both of our mutual thanks out to John, who lives in Colorado, and he just sent an email also with the same clarification of the text messages that you got. So it's great to have the Take Two family, weighing in on things like this and listening. John says he's a longtime listener to the show, so that's really cool. John, just wanted to acknowledge your email and say thanks so very, very much. Also, Geraldine from, let's see, it doesn't say where Geraldine is from. She says, listening on the awesome Annunciation Radio, Toledo, Ohio, but I live in Sandusky. I am so grateful for the opportunity God granted for us to have a celebration for my mother's 100th birthday. Her birthday was October 21st, but our whole family, as well as some extended family members, gathered on the 17th. My mother had breast cancer in 2009 and colon cancer in 2010. She came through both and has been quite healthy since. So that is definitely some things to be grateful for on the part of Geraldine and her family.
Yes, that's amazing. Thank you again, Marianne. We're getting messages coming in. They just loved your call. Thank you so much. This is kind of transitioned into gratitude. So it's lulling me into that sense of, grateful. I will tell you, just to be totally upfront, I am super grateful for EWTN. I'm eternally grateful to Jerry Usher. I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for Jerry's kindness the first time we met. So I'm grateful for Jerry and our really, Jerry, you could have been kind of like, who is this person? She has no idea how to be on radio. But yeah, 11
you were
years.
a natural from the beginning.
Oh, thanks. 11 years later, we've been working together, and I am very grateful. You're the brother. I always say this. You're the brother I should have had. No offense to my two brothers. I'm just, yeah. But I'm grateful.
I know one of them listens, so be careful.
Yeah, he does. He does. And I'm grateful for, just the ability to be able to get up in the morning and to take those first breaths. I was thinking about, it really came to me in prayer, Jerry, the other day. 3,000 in the U.S. babies are not going to get a chance to breathe that first breath outside of the womb. That is really tragic, guys. This is really bad. We need to do more, talking about it and education and, raising awareness and exposing this. This is really tragic. And I just wanted to say that, and it's not only because of what happened in Colorado, but it's just a general sense that I'm feeling like people are just kind of tossing it aside again sometimes. When you're in conversation, they're like, oh well, yeah, that's a bad thing, that's a real bad thing. But let's talk about this. Oh, that's really bad. But let's talk about something else, or the taxes, or this. And you're thinking to yourself, really? We're gonna just avoid talking about this? What do you think about that?
Well, I think you're right on the money there, and I would say these are the kinds of conversations that we need to have, like you said, but they're so it makes people sort of get uncomfortable and queasy a little bit, and like you said, they just want to kind of move on to something else. But and even those who would, if they gave it enough thought and reflection, even if they're not people of faith or religious people, but if they gave it enough thought and reflection and looked into the science, looked at an ultrasound, there would be no question in their minds that they would be pro-life, and yet the conversation still, like you said, gets swept away a little bit. People don't want to have that; they just want to simply move on to the weekend football games or something like that. And so, it is a conversation, obviously, that's had here on Catholic Radio a lot, but we all should kind of try and take that conversation into our families, into our extended families and friends and the workplaces as well. I agree.
Yeah. And what another thing that being grateful for, human life, that ability to have a soul, right? And to live out this journey of life and then go on for all of eternity, eternal life. I look at social media, Jerry, and, people will really stop and make a comment about, a little bird that has gotten injured by the side of the road, or two little kittens that have been left, on a doorstep or something. And they'll stop and make comments. But yet we're tripping over the big picture. We're tripping, we're missing it. And I just often wonder, I'm not trying to preach, folks, but I just wonder, Jerry, help me with this because we have a little bit of time here. When we're thinking about being grateful, are we truly grateful for our life if we're going to ignore the lives of others? You know what I'm saying? And it's really an interesting thing. I've been praying about it a lot lately, and I'm thinking, what is the matter? I don't quite know how to tap into somebody's internal dialogue of what they think about pro-life. It's amazing to me that we can just completely avoid it, but also just reject it, that we don't even want to let it enter into our heads. That's why Mother Angelica was so powerful when she came out early on and just opened the windows, opened the doors, and she said, this is what it is. This is the truth.
Well, it's interesting. I want to share something. I was reflecting actually just on this very thing within the last few days, and I recalled how in my early days, actually before my reversion, I got to my teens and I didn't have a lot of need or use for God or going to church or anything. And as I was going through that phase of my life, I wasn't anti-God or anti-church or anything, but I remember pondering the whole abortion issue, and I thought, well, if somebody wants to believe that, I guess it's okay, because I hadn't done the work yet. I hadn't taken the time to form my conscience. I was never pro-abortion, but I just didn't have a solid, conviction and position on that. And of course, since, drawing closer to God and being, more involved in my faith and prayer life and so forth, it just becomes instantly clear. Clear.
That's interesting.
And what's really a tragedy is, I would imagine we have a lot of people, warming a pew on Sundays who probably have no difficulty with abortion whatsoever. And so, as a church, we have to be leading. We have to be the voice of truth and sanity and reason, always with charity, and especially charity toward those women and men who have been impacted directly by abortion. Sure. There is no place on earth they can go that's going to be more welcoming, more forgiving, more pastoral than the Catholic Church. And I think it's important to make that point along with talking about the atrocity that has been taking place through abortion.
Yeah. Well, I just hope during this holiday season we're grateful for all of those that didn't make it. We're grateful that we made it, but we're grateful, to them that they had to offer. I guess they offered their lives, for us to have a better understanding of what it means to be living in God's, in alignment with God's will and understanding. Would you consider them? Are they considered victim soul? What are the aborted babies? Are they considered?
I don't know for sure. A lot of people would like to say that they are martyrs, and I don't know if in the traditional sense, I don't know if that could be applied, but we know that they are in the hands of God, and we entrust them to His beautiful fatherly care. Yeah. So, and by the way, we got an email from our dear listener Karen in Louisiana.
Tell me.
And Karen says this. She says, the Love Life Amendment passed in Louisiana. Yay!
Yay!
And I'm on the website here for that's lovelifevoteyes.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it says here, with the passage of the Love Life Amendment, judges can never enshrine a right to abortion or taxpayer funding of abortion in our state constitution, just like it has been done in other states. With our current state law and the protection of Amendment Number 1, when Roe versus Wade is overturned, all unborn babies in Louisiana would be protected by law. That is fantastic. Way to go, voters in Louisiana.
Yes. Okay, everybody move to Louisiana. Way to go. Real quickly, Jerry, EWTN Radio Essentials, I just wanted to highlight. So if you want to listen for the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass celebrated every 2 hours, rosaries, chaplets, Stations of the Cross, and other devotionals every hour, you can hear them on EWTN Radio Essentials on smart speakers, the EWTN app and the EWTN.com. So EWTN has you covered. But you know what I'm saying before we go to Jim, about being grateful. I'm grateful I'm alive, but do you ever feel like sometimes you feel a little guilty? Like I'm alive, I have a chance to grow and learn and deepen my faith life, I get my relationship closer to God, but these poor babies never had a chance. Do you ever I feel kind of guilty. There's a part of me, anyway, we should do a show on it. Do you ever feel that way? That's why did I get to live, but they didn't?
Yeah, it's a mystery, known only to God, and we know that, as I think we stated on a recent show, the attack on the youngest, littlest, most vulnerable is not anything particularly new. Remember, Herod ordered the killing of all males 2 years and younger, at the time of Christ's birth. So. Let's just pray for a conversion of minds and hearts. And let's go to Jim in Lakewood, Pennsylvania. He is a Sirius XM 130 listener and a first-time caller. Hi, Jim. So glad you joined us on the program.
Hi, Jim.
Hello. Welcome. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I really heard you earlier in the show and wanted to just let you know that, yes, I am grateful despite all of this madness that we are experiencing. And I thank God for that because I have Him in my soul. And He keeps me lifted, which is my blessing. And I wish everyone would have that. But I just wanted to let you guys know what we're planning for our Thanksgiving festivities. Actually, we're kind of putting Thanksgiving and Christmas together this year. And I have 4 children, one daughter, which is in Texas, and she and her husband and our 3 grandsons are driving from Texas to Pennsylvania and spending 4 or 5 days with us. And then we have our other 3 children are local, and they'll be here with another granddaughter. And we have some plans we have some things scheduled. We're going to go to a light tour, a Christmas or holiday light excursion up in the old Woodstock site. It's called Bethel Woods now. And you drive through, and they have a place where you stop and get your donuts and your cider, and you have it in the car. But you just drive through all the lights, and it's a half-hour drive. So it must be pretty extensive, I'm hoping. And also, we have planned a train excursion. Our local town here, Honesdale, has the first train in America, and they do excursions. Fall excursions. This is going to be a Santa excursion they're doing on that Saturday, right after Thanksgiving. So we've got some things planned, and I think you've said it, and many of the people that have called in have said it. As long as you use some common sense, we're very diligent about making sure we have our hands washed all the time and everybody carries a bottle of disinfectant in their cars and in their bags, and we're careful and do give respect to everyone else around us too, which is the key. And we've done this and pretty much been together for probably 5 or 6 times during COVID, and none of us has contracted anything and been very blessed with that. So I just want to let you know I feel very blessed.
Well, go ahead, Deb, if you have something.
No. I just think it's beautiful to hear a father, talk about his family and how beautiful it is and how grateful you are and you're blessed. I think that you've received and you've accepted and you're aware of what we in religious education, we try to get families to understand how important that is. And you expressed it, Jim. And I hope other parents understand that. And I just love hearing it from you. You could feel the warmth and the love that you have for your family and how grateful you are that you have this beautiful family. I think it's wonderful. We need more families. We need more families and we'd have less, problems. That's a whole other topic.
And Jim, I'm very encouraged by your call again. You might have heard me mention that I live in a state where there are pretty tight restrictions, and there have been really throughout this whole pandemic thing. But it's encouraging to hear what you're describing here. It's almost like it gives me hope that some of these traditions, these beautiful holiday traditions that you're talking about, that just enhance the faith part of it. The faith part has to always be first, but you're kind of almost describing a movie, a Christmas movie here, as you're describing this, these things that you and your family are going to do. So, and combining the two holidays.
Your comments, Barry. It was your comments earlier that inspired me to call in, actually.
Oh, thank you.
I feel for you and I pray for you because I know that things are very, very tight in California and many other states too. So my prayers are with you, my friend.
Oh, thank you, Jim. God bless you, brother. We appreciate the call so much.
God bless you too.
God bless.
We're lavishing love and praises on you today, Jerry.
Gosh, I'll take it. I need it.
Yeah.
But, and I think another thing that this pandemic, if people are restricted in getting together, maybe even having to be alone, it's going to maybe give us an opportunity to be a little bit deeper in our reflection on the beauty of the Advent season and the meaning of what Christmas is. As someone who's never been married, Debbie, I've spent a lot of Christmases alone, and I've gotten. I wouldn't say that it's just like any other day because it's not, but in a sense, it's just not having family or friends around me and being with family and friends. Of course, I have the majority of the time, but on those few occasions when I haven't been able to do that. It's just I just get that extra time just to say, Lord, it's just you and me. Let's just spend this time together and draw closer and get to know each other a little bit better. Right. Beautiful. Did you see all these social media comments coming in? Yeah. Do you want to share some? I do. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Julius from Kenya, he says, COVID has made me far from my family since I can't take my annual leave since our country suspended it till next year, 2021. Though I have gained a lot of resilience, I thank God. Carol says, we have a tricky situation. One family member often goes to the bars and out for live music, and no one wants this person to join them at the Thanksgiving table. That's too bad. That's a tough situation. Yeah. How about Carmen? Carmen says, I am grateful. My daughter and son bought their first home, and we are going to spend a lot of time with them and my grandson. So it's going to be a lot of blessings for Carmen this holiday season. We're getting a lot of messages saying that they would like us to do a couple shows on, this idea of different aspects of abortion and stuff so we can raise awareness and get people to think in a deeper way about it. I say we put it on the calendar coming up. We can. I think it could help. That's how we get a lot of our shows. Well, yeah. Well, people were saying that they're grateful for their life as well, and somebody answered and said, they said, I've been reflecting on that as well. Why did I get to live but somebody else didn't? So I'm grateful for my life, but I'm sad
that they couldn't have theirs, and so this is a really tough situation. But when we make it like that, very, very human, we connect like that, we attach those emotions that we should as the mystical body of Christ, then it becomes very real, and then it becomes something that we should all deal with in a Catholic Christian way. Don't you think, Jerry? Instead of just putting it out there thinking that people in government are going to take care of it.
Yeah, agreed. Tony is watching on YouTube. Tony says, Hi, Tony. My family had to cancel Thanksgiving and Christmas visits due to health concerns. We will spend both days alone, but I'm going to write down a list of 1,000 things that I'm grateful for on Thanksgiving and do fun things and go to my first Christmas Day Mass, which I'm really excited about doing. All will be well. God is good. And Tony, I believe, is a convert to the faith. So,
Yep. Beautiful. And Michael says, my brother and I will go across the street, tough commute, to our adopted family for Thanksgiving. My other brother and his wife will not make it because of COVID. We also missed them at Easter this year.
Yeah. So it's
Beautiful.
having an effect, having an impact. Absolutely.
Well, we got some good show ideas for today. I'm sorry I was kind of processing out loud. When I talk about gratitude, I start to go there. I start to almost go into like a prayerful kind of meditative state. So forgive me, folks. I was like just having those random thoughts that were coming through. But you know what? That's what we do at Take Two. We speak from our heart. What you see is what you get. This is exactly how Jerry and I talk off air as well. It's the same thing. We have the same life. But Jerry, tomorrow, I am super excited because our producer, Michael Birchfield, put another fantastic topic on the calendar. How has Catholic radio helped you? Great question.
Yeah. Well, we're grateful to Michael for that suggestion and his fine work as producer of the show. Jeff Burson handles social media. Great job today, Jeff. Ryan Penny, as always, on the phones. Thanks again to the affiliates for carrying the program. Looking forward to tomorrow's conversation about how Catholic radio has helped your life. Be thinking about that, and please join us for the conversation.
Yes, and Jerry and I we always say this, but we really and truly mean it. We love you guys. Visit us on standtalltoday.com and like us on Facebook, Jerry and Debbie Facebook. Until tomorrow, have a beautiful and blessed day. We'll see you real soon.